Well, I Maxine. You explain that one.
Well, we've just gone live, but we're not sure where to. Let's have a look.
Oh.
Let's have a look, see if we can find it on Facebook.
I'm live.
Watch live videos.
On my page, it says it has expired.
Wait a minute, and let's see. Oh, because if it's on mine, I'll just share it to yours.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to look. I'll go onto the internet and have a look for a better one for next time.
Oh, God. Well, everybody who watches me on my lives and stuff, they all know that when it comes to, oh, we're on live. Oh, no, we're not. That was last week's.
Oh.
Somewhere. No, we're not. That was last week.
We're on live somewhere because it's saying we are, but I don't know which. I've got 2 links up here.
That's bizarre.
And that's not available now, so it can't be that one. Because we're on this. Oh, fun and games. Right.
Technology. At its best.
Content is available at the moment. Well, you're somewhere.
God knows where.
It might be. I hope it's not on that. Because if it's on that one, I don't believe it.
So if anybody can see us, if you want to comment on the link, don't comment on our Facebook pages because we can't see them.
I wonder if it's worth sharing the link that we've got so they can join us for a chat properly on here.
Right.
Try that.
You'd have to show me how to do that.
All it is, you know that link I just sent you?
Yeah.
For you to get onto here, just get them to come on. Just share that.
Ah, right. Okay.
I'm just going to see then if I can find.
Bear with.
Oh, somebody's just come in.
That one. Maxine. Copy link.
And then I'll just let them all in. So we'll just try that way. Could get a bit chaotic, but we'll have a go.
Well, it won't let me share a link with anybody. Where's my group start?
The link.
That one.
Come on, copy. Copy. That's it.
That'd be quite fun, actually. We get people on there. Okay. Help if I could spell. Put that in there. Copy text. Let's put it in my other page. Pages.
Right, I've done it. What's on my support one?
This page has been updated. No, it hasn't. There we are.
Copy. Oh, bloody hell.
Now it's lost me link.
Oh my goodness me.
And breathe.
Right.
There we go. Okay, hopefully they will be able to see that and join us directly. Otherwise, it's going to be me and you chatting to ourselves again, streaming as God knows where.
That's it. I can cut all this beginning out anyway. Oh, we've got 2 people on.
And we'll share it later.
2 people are watching.
Marvellous. Where from? Where are you watching from?
Well, it says you're watching.
I am watching, but I'm on it.
No, because last week we didn't have, you know, up in the corner it's got a little eye saying who's on. It's saying 2 people. I wonder if I can click on it.
It's probably me and you, Maxine.
No, but it didn't do that. It didn't do that the first week when we were on.
Okay.
Oh, and one person's just left.
Right. Oh dear.
It must be. It's on your Facebook, I think.
Well, I can't see it.
Oh well. If he is watching, if they could just drop a hi just to us, just so that we know that it is going out live, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Send me a personal message if you can't get through any other way.
Just so that we know it's working.
Yeah, absolutely. People have probably lost the will to live. I know I'm getting that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I will, definitely look for something else.
Yeah, I do think we need a different platform because this has been a bit of a nightmare, hasn't it, the last few weeks? But
yeah,
I can't see it on either of mine. And nobody's messaged me to say.
Well, some is definitely, because it just tells you how many people are watching. It doesn't say who they are or anything.
Okay.
So, yeah. Right. We'll start again. Yeah, 3 people are saying they're on now. So if anybody's watching, do us a favour and just drop us a hi or just send us a personal message to either Philippa or myself, just so that we know which platform you're watching on, because we've had a bit of a mare this morning.
And we've got no idea where we're streaming to. We're streaming to somewhere.
I know, but we don't know where.
We couldn't add anything on. But I know last week when people comment on my Facebook, I couldn't see it until after. So we'll have a look at that. But
no worries.
We'll continue with it as normal. Hopefully more people will join us.
Well, thank you for listening and watching the podcast.
Jane Phillips is on. She says good morning. She's on. Hi, Jane. Really nice to see you.
So she must be on yours then. So you are streaming it. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm streaming it somewhere. We've only got Jane at the moment, but we are on.
That's good. What a nightmare. Well, I'm just going to introduce myself and then I'll pass you over to Philippa. And apologies for the start. I'm Maxine Brown and I'm a life coach, hypnotherapist and author. And Philippa and I team up, try once a week to have a chat. And so you can join me on any of my Facebook platforms and also on Twitter and Instagram. So I'll pass you over to Philippa.
Okay. So I am a medium and a spiritual guidance counsellor. I specialise in spiritual healing and holistic therapy. I'm also an author of a book called Curse Daggers. I do lots and lots of different things, a bit like Maxine. And yes, the idea of doing these live chats every week was so that you could all join in and have a conversation with us. And unfortunately, we've had a bit of a problem with the technology. Everybody who knows me, who follows me on my lives, know I'm cursed when it comes to technology. So I will take the full blame for that, Maxine. But we do have a couple of people on. It must be going out on my Facebook. So we do have a couple of people on there. The only one I can see is Jane because she said good morning. So anybody else who's watching, by all means, please do drop a comment down, let me know that you're on, send me a private message if needs be. I have my other phone, and put your comments on there so that you can join in with this morning. We're going to be talking about menopause. I definitely think I'm having a menopausal morning this morning. So we'd love to hear your comments, and hear your experiences of this as well, because this isn't a technical one. This is based on our experience. It's about what we go through.
Yeah, and if you can't join us live, we will put this recording onto our pages and groups once I've cut it down a bit, because obviously there's a lot of waffle at the beginning. You can ask any questions on there and join in there, and we can obviously come back to you and share if you want us to share.
Yeah.
Well, obviously with me being the older person, oh God, I'm trying to think how long ago it is since I started with menopause. Must be 10 years ago now. But yeah, easily. And I used to get like the sweats and things like that to begin with. I'm moody.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed to begin with. And it took me probably 3 or 4 years, and in the end I went to see the doctor and got some HRT.
Right.
And I don't like taking lots of tablets, but when I tried lots of different herbal things to begin with, and different creams, and you could rub them onto your wrist and things like that, and then a few tablets. The evening primrose oil, that was a classic one that everybody say, try that, it's really, really good. And nothing was really, really helping. So I thought, right, action needed. And I went, yeah, and I've been on HRT ever since. It doesn't take everything away though. The sweats, yes it does, but definitely not like the fuddle brain. I'm terribly, I have to write everything down. Also the weight gain, that's been my real nemesis. I just cannot seem to shift it. Doesn't matter what I do, and that, I think that gets to me, which it lots to do with, it does to women. But after speaking to lots of friends and everything, I've come out quite lightly of the menopause. I don't know, since I've been on HRT, I can glide through it and it doesn't affect me hugely, apart from my biggest thing is my weight, and my hair comes out a lot, I've noticed lately.
Yeah. I didn't really think about hair, to be honest. Well, I started when I was about 37, 38 with the most horrendous migraines. And I've suffered with migraine all my life. I get hemiplegic migraine and vestibular migraine. But up until about a year and a half ago, I could get 15 to 20 days a month of migraine, which after many, many investigations, they put down to hormones and to change in hormone levels. Wasn't offered anything, wasn't offered HRT or anything like that. So because I'm a holistic therapist, and I'm certainly not against medication. I must admit, I'm seriously considering HRT at the minute. A lot of my friends have gone on it and gone, oh, Philippa, it's the way forward. I've been trying to do things the more natural way. But like you, tried starflower oil, tried evening primrose, tried, I must have another couple of people on there, tried various different things. My mum was a big fan of black cohosh. I'm not sure whether it actually did much for her, but she took it for a long time, CoQ10. And I think what I've learned from trial and experience and all of these things, the most important thing for me has been trying to work on a healthy balance. Yeah. So the difficulty is I have fibromyalgia, and I know Jane, who's one of the people who's watching there, she also has fibro, and quite a lot of my clients have fibro. And I was talking to one of my clients, Anita, the other day when she came, and we had a laugh because the symptoms for menopause are so similar to the symptoms for fibromyalgia. So things like the hot sweats, the brain fogs, the insomnia, the PND. So it's not just premenstrual tension. I get premenstrual depression. So I have usually about 3 days a month where I am absolutely on the floor with it. And there's times I'm like, I could sit and cry sometimes, and I'm not a crier. Other times I'm the complete opposite, and I'm a bit manic and a bit sort of raggy. I don't really get as many migraines now as I used to have. She says, but yeah, like yesterday, I was sat here, I was doing some training for my other job yesterday, and I had the window wide open and the heating was off, and I had a little top on, little t-shirt, absolutely sweating buckets. And my husband came in, he went, oh, you look moist. I was like literally dripping off me. And I think that's what I find quite difficult. It's not just that you feel warm, you're physically sweating buckets some days. One of my sister-in-laws recommended that I worked on my vagal nerve, which your vagal nerves are actually a pair of nerves, and it's the largest nerves in your body. You've got these 12 pairs, and it goes from your brain sort of all the way down, and it feeds pretty much every major organ in your body, particularly like your lungs and your heart and your brain. And it works on your reproduction organs. So one of the ways of dealing with that is cold therapy. And I have to admit, I have experienced and sort of experimented with this a couple of times. Having an iced cold shower for a couple of minutes in the morning really stops the hot sweats. Doesn't stop the rest of it, but it really stops the hot sweats. Well, because the weather's been so cold, I haven't been having cold showers because it's Baltic anyway, and the last thing you want to do when it's cold is get in a cold shower.
Yeah.
And since I've stopped doing it, my hot sweats have come back.
Oh.
So definitely something in that, and it's the only thing that I have found that I would say had really helped or really made some sort of difference.
Yeah.
But definitely making sure, I went to see a lady a couple of days ago, Lorna, for like kind of an energy check, if that would make sense. And she sat and she picked up on a lot of my energy, and she said, oh, it's your sacral energy that's out, and that's why you're putting weight on. And of course, with menopause, it's all around your sacral,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's all around your tummy. So my legs, my tummy. I mean, I come from a family of big busted women anyway, but the older I'm getting, the bigger the sacral. These days, I'm going to come out the door before I do. And she was telling me to work like on my sacral chakra, to take more magnesium. She was talking about vitamin D deficiencies, and also vitamin B's, which I'm already aware of. So that was quite interesting, actually, to have that chat and see, because I think, we all sort of think, oh, is it just us? Nobody else is going through the same thing. And then me and you sit and chat, and we're like, oh, actually, we're at different stages.
That's it. And I think people are frightened to talk about it as well, aren't they? They get embarrassed about it and things like that. And so, but it's just to be open and to have a chat about it, because as you say, we're all going through it in different ways. Because some people will just go through it smoothly and not even realise anything major. And then others people really do suffer. I know I've had friends that have really, really suffered with it, and it's not pleasant. And I think because it's like a taboo subject, so other people aren't aware of it, or you're trying to like hide it, and it's not nice. You might as well just be open and upfront. And I think now, especially, I don't know if you heard it this week last week and a half in the news, there's been no end of conversations about menopause and everything.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I know Davina McCall did a programme on it a year or so ago, didn't she? And all of a sudden, it seems to have become almost like popular to talk about. But the other thing is as well, we talk about women with menopause and all the things that we go through. And what we don't always accept is that men kind of go through it as well. And obviously, it's not necessarily the estrogen in their body, although they do have estrogen that they drop.
They do.
But men, when they sort of hit middle age, their testosterone levels change, don't they? And I know my husband, I mean, he'll be 51 in April. Not that you'll forgive me for telling you that, because he prides himself on the fact he looks so much younger than he is. And he tells everybody he's younger than me. But he has lost muscle mass. He used to be a big, broad man. He's lost weight where, we joke and I go, oh my God, you barely weigh any more than me, because I'm getting bigger and he's getting smaller. Fatigue is a massive thing for him, as much as it is me, probably more so for him. Lack of sort of passion, really, where before he'd get up, he'd be really passionate about things. He'd be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He seems to have lost a lot of his drive. And for somebody who's always been so full of life, he feels quite flat. But menopause is even more difficult to discuss than it is for women with menopause, isn't it? We're only just becoming accepted. And it takes a little while for the whole man thing to catch up, because people don't really recognise it. A lot of doctors don't recognise it.
No.
And there was something on the telly a few months ago about this male doctor, and he said, you can take testosterone replacement therapy like we have hormone replacement therapy, and within weeks or months it can make a massive difference. But he's one doctor in the whole of the UK that has a clinic who specialises on it.
It is. And also, I mean, men find it more difficult to talk anyway. So another subject for them to have a chat about and everything, and because it's not a thing that's regularly talked about, it's going to be more and more difficult to become, to get it out into the open and be brave enough to have a chat and everybody to listen to each other. And that's the thing, because I think they may say something of how they're feeling, but a lot of people will sweep it under the carpet and just not take it from the next step and see what they can do to help. And I think that's where the doctors come in. Then there needs to be more of them that have got time to listen. And I think probably that's a struggle for them as well, because there's only so many appointments that they can see people for, and that you're all on a 10-minute or 5-10 minute appointment.
It's 3 now, I think. From what I've heard, yes, the appointment time, you used to go to the doctor and you used to be able to sit there for 10 or 15 minutes and have a good chat, and they would look at you holistically, wouldn't they? And they'd go, right, so these are the symptoms, let's look holistically at what's wrong. Doctors still really want to do that. That's what they're in the profession for. But of course, they're on this time thing, aren't they, where their caseloads are getting bigger and bigger. There's more paperwork. they don't have the time to sit and listen. I know when I've gone or when Dom's gone and you sit and they go, don't really tell me more than two things. But yes, but all these things connected together. Yeah, I don't have time for that. I'll just work on one or two and then you'll have to come back. And you think, but if they all link in together, I need to give you the whole overview. Yeah. And of course, if men aren't aware of this menopause, you know, they think that women are trying to put them down, don't they? Oh, you're going through a menopause. Oh, you're just going blah, blah, blah. No, we're not. It physically is a thing that we need to raise more awareness of. And more understanding, don't we, from both sides? You know, I mean, I've fallen over my words for years because of my fibro and the brain fog and things. My kids think that's absolutely hysterical. You know, people look at you like you're stupid, don't they? You know, if you can't get your words out, or you use an inappropriate word. Well, I don't mean like inappropriate. No, but the wrong word for something, or you know, if suddenly you do get one of these hot sweats, and all of a sudden you're like, "Whoo, let's open all the windows." You know, people either find that really amusing, or they have no idea.
No, that's it. I mean, you can feel yourself sometimes literally going from red and the heat coming up and into your face, and it is awful, especially when you're working as well. And if you're in a business environment, in the meetings and things like that, you feel embarrassed as well, because you know that people are going to start looking. You can feel the heat coming up, and I think that's why people are getting more aware of it as well within the working environment, because people are becoming more understanding and letting people take time out and just go and get some fresh air, and you can calm, because I think it makes it worse because you'll then get more het up, so you get hotter and hotter, and so you do need to just get out and just go and take 5 minutes to yourself and things like that. And I think people should not be embarrassed about it. Just go, and if you need 5 minutes, just say, I'm just going to take some time. But definitely, if you can look for alternative ways to help you. I mean, that sounds really interesting, what you've been doing with this cold shower. I mean, that's amazing. That's helped so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Things like ginger tea, spiced ginger tea, I actually find, and I know the Chinese work with this a lot, working with the triple burner, so the digestive system, and treat heat with heat. So like your two positives make a negative, if that makes sense. So I find if I drink an awful lot of spiced ginger tea and have the cold showers, I don't have anywhere near the amount of symptoms. But if I'm not doing those things, either because I haven't made time, I'm not going to say I haven't got time, because we all make time to do things like that, don't we? And sometimes we don't. If I haven't made time to do it, or I haven't paid attention, I haven't looked after myself, then the symptoms come back tenfold. Wow. And that's really apparent to me, because at first you think, is that just coincidence that I've started doing those things, and all of a sudden things have calmed down? You stop doing it and they come back ferociously, and you think, that's not coincidence, is it?
No, that's it. Yeah. It's good for people to try then, to see if
ice cubes on your wrist, or ice cubes on the back of your neck, obviously wrapped in a towel so you don't burn yourself. But you know, like you say, I mean, my kids always laugh at me, because sometimes I'm standing there in my bra doing the ironing, all the doors are open and the windows are open, and they're like, feeling a bit warm, Mum. Yeah, it's a bit warm. And and they've got jumpers on and hot water bottles, and then I'm like, right, okay, I'm okay now, shut the window, shut the door. Oh, I'm freezing now.
I've had that one pass.
It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, I think it affects men and women very differently. And I think, you know, when you're in a relationship and you're both similar ages, like there's 5 years between my husband and I, and we're both going through something similar but different at the same time, that can cause, I mean, me and you are always talking about talking, communication, but, you know, he's feeling a bit low and a bit flat, and he hasn't got any energy and he's got no drive. Some days I could fight with a feather, you know, I either go really calm and fine to absolutely raggy about nothing, you know, and I'm just like, slit your throat. And I'm like, why? I just looked at you, and you're just like, I don't know why.
I know that feeling.
But it's crazy, isn't it? And then you have a few days like that, and you feel like you're going out your mind, and then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Yeah, calm, and everything's fine. Yeah, it is. It's really, it's horrible, because you know basically what's happening, but you can't do anything about it either, even though you want to just try and stay chilled and calm. I mean, I try meditation, I go for my long walks and things like that, and I know sometimes just one word and it can just trigger, and I just go and you don't mean to be like it, but it does definitely affects, and it can affect relationships, as you say. You've got to give and take with each other, and I think talking definitely and explaining this is how I'm feeling at the moment, and it will pass.
Yeah, that's it. I think, you know, the people that have understood it the most is my mum, who is, you know, very holistically minded anyway. My mum doesn't take medication for anything. She does everything in a natural way. And then my mother-in-law, bless her, I mean, obviously we just lost her a few months ago, but she was brilliant with things like that. And she was very matter of fact about it. And it was lovely to sit sometimes and talk to her. And she'd sit and she'd laugh and she'd say, oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you about this experience that I had. You know, and she was great. And the two of them have always been very open about speaking about things. And my sister's 4 years older than me. And I think I started it quite young, really, sort of around about 37. But to be fair, my hormones have fluctuated all of my life. And I think that's part of having the fibro and stuff. You know, it does affect your hormone levels, or your hormone levels affect the fibro. But, you know, my sister's really good, and we sit and chat. She doesn't get hot sweat. She just feels like she's been plugged into the central heating. And she just feels herself getting warmer and warmer, but she doesn't actually sweat. Where there's some nights I wake up and I could wring my nightie out and I have to get up and have a shower in the night, but not if I have a cold shower every day.
That is amazing. I must admit, I was lucky for my nighttime. Very rarely night times. Mine was during the day, and I could just feel it literally rise from my toes and come up. And it was awful. It doesn't matter wherever you are. And all of a sudden you think, oh, like a bee coming up.
I know. I mean, a friend of mine, she said to me, I've got a stone floor in my kitchen. And she said, I literally just strip off and lie on the floor. She was like, me and the dog just go and lie face down on the floor for the cold. And you think, oh, you know, especially during the summer, I can imagine that feels lovely, like a cold stone floor. Not practical when you're out and about, though, really.
No.
But, yeah. But insomnia is another thing, isn't it? I don't know if that's affected you. Again,
terribly.
But yeah, it's always, and I think the main thing that was sort of like forgotten about is anxiety. Do you find, or did you find when you were sort of going through it, I get 2 or 3 days where I'm really anxious or my heart rate's up and I've got no idea why, because in my head I'm like, I feel fine. There's nothing to be anxious about. Everything's okay. But I'll wake up in the night and I'm having a panic attack. And they're not as bad now, but over the last few years, they've been horrendous.
Yeah. And I think everything seems worse. You know, the things that you would have just passed by probably a couple of years ago, it seems to escalate. You feel it's a huge thing now. Whereas any other time you'd have just like either let it go or just completely understood it really easily. But now it seems to be it just gets bigger and bigger, and it takes you longer to realise that it's nothing major. You can calm down, but because you just get so uptight about everything.
Yeah. I think mentally, I feel like I've gone the other way. And actually, as I've got older and I've hit my 40s, I don't actually get quite so anxious about things mentally. But physically, you're right. When you're going through those few days every month, physically, everything seems to affect you. And you just think, well, I don't understand this because I know the logic of it and I'm putting it into perspective. But your body just kind of reacts on its own, doesn't it? You know, and you're like, it doesn't matter how much therapy you do or how much healing. And it was interesting when you said about going out and walking in fresh air and doing your meditation that way. As you know, that's something I've done for years. But lately, I tend to go the other way, and I tend to go into fetal position and I hide from people. And I have 2 or 3 days where I'm like, right, I'm not going to work so much because I'm feeling a bit naff, and I'm just going to sit and watch stuff on telly. And if I want to eat chocolate, I will. And I'm just going to cocoon and not have to speak to people so much. And it's not like hiding away as such. I just need to give that self-care. You know, just need to have that nurture from within, really.
Yeah. I think everybody does everything differently. It's just, I think the main thing, well, I want to get across is just talk to each other about it and don't be ashamed or anything, because everybody's going through it.
Yeah. And deal with it your own way. Like you said, you've got ways, I've got ways. You know, both my sister-in-laws had different ways. My sister's got a different way. My mother and my mother-in-law. Everybody you speak to has different symptoms to different extents. I mean, I know people who went, oh, I just stopped one day. My periods just stopped, and that was it. And you just think, oh, I hate you. How lucky are you? And the other thing is as well, I don't know how you felt, but a lot of my friends kind of feel they get into their 40s and they go, oh, I think I might need another baby. I think the clock's ticking and things are going to stop and I need another baby. And I'm all right about going through the menopause. I don't feel that when my periods stop, I'm suddenly going to be half a person or I'm not going to be a woman anymore. The way I view it is like freedom.
I'm exactly the same as you. I mean, I know a lot of people do really, well, women obviously do struggle with that because they think they're not a woman anymore because that was their main thing. To me, it was the best thing that happened because it was just a pain. I mean, I was sterilised when I was very young anyway, so I knew I wasn't going to have any more children. So stopping the periods was just like, yes. I haven't got to remember anything when I go out or away or anything like that. So, I mean, that was a really good thing for me.
Yeah, I think me as well, I had my third son and we'd always wanted a bigger family. And I got to my third and I realised that 2 I felt was really easy. And having a third one, it was like, oh my God, what have I done? And, I had my first one at 23 and I had my third one at 32. And I found it so much harder in my 30s to be raising a child than, oh God, yeah. And he was an easy boy. I mean, my eldest Ben, God love him, always a bundle of fun, but never. I mean, he does have ADHD.
Yeah.
But even now he never stops. He's always active. And, now he's older, he obviously entertains himself. He's got his own kids and stuff. But when he was little, needed constant attention, didn't sleep at night. And yet I cope with that better than my third one at 32, who slept 12 hours straight through and was never a pick of bother and didn't really need anything because he had 2 brothers to do everything for him.
Yeah.
And I was exhausted. And maybe it's because I had 3 and I had 3 boys and I felt that maybe I'd done then and I didn't need to go through that.
Yeah.
But I do have friends who've got grown-up family, the kids are in their late teens or early to mid-20s and they're still feeling that, oh, but this might be my last chance to have another one.
Yeah.
Now, for me, that would be the worst thing in the world. Can't imagine standing outside the school gates in my 50s. But for some people, I think it's a real drive, isn't it? And I think something else that's glossed over a lot. People don't always understand. And because it's not my thing, I kind of don't understand. But then I do understand because I know that everybody's different. And it's grief, isn't it? Some people go through a grief for a part of their life that's over. Their youth's over. And I'm viewing it as it's a new beginning for me.
It's a new start. Yeah, definitely.
Kids are getting older now. There's more time for me and Dom. I've got more time for me and back to work full time. I'm viewing this whole process as what I can gain from it. Yes. But not everybody's able to do that, are they?
No, that's it. And they've just got to accept that. And yes, everybody, you've just said everybody's different. And I think the other thing is a lot of people with different relationships starting a bit later on or like break up the marriage and remarriage it. And so then that can start another, because you might want to start a family with your new partner. Yes, and then that's the other thing to think of when that's where I think a lot of older mums are when they've got children already, but then they start a family again. And that can be quite sad if they can't and they really, really want to. So it's just trying to balance it out, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? And I think, as we're always talking about, there's always things in life where sometimes there's positives and sometimes there's negatives, but it's trying to draw whatever positives you can get because you can't change things. If you can't then have family later in life, whether you want them or not, or, because some people go through the menopause really quite young as well, People go through it in their teens and their 20s, don't they? And other people will be in their mid-50s or older before it happens. So I think that's the other thing. One of my clients, bless her, she went through it at about 24 and had one child, desperately wanted another one. Yeah. And then went through a menopause really quite young, which they just stopped. No real symptoms or anything. Everything just stopped. And that was a real grieving process for her. And I think I understood that more because she was young and she had her whole life ahead of her. And she felt robbed, absolutely robbed. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're 24 or 44. If that's how you feel, then it's valid, isn't it?
Of course it is. It is. I mean, that's it. Everybody has to take each individual person's ideas, mind, and the way they feel about everything, and just listen. Because nobody can judge anybody else. It's their feelings and the way that they can handle things and what they want to do with their bodies and their lives. And I think that's the most. Just be there for each other. and support. And I think that's all anybody really wants, is probably somebody just to talk to it, and they probably don't want the answers anyway. It's just that they just need to get it off their chest and get it out and just speak about it and see, and see. A lot of the time they'll come up with their own answers. If you have been through something similar, obviously you can say how you felt and what you did. But it's just, I think the main thing is just to talk about it and be very open.
Definitely. And I think to understand that your way of dealing with it or your way of feeling about it isn't necessarily somebody else's. So sometimes you come across, but I went through that and I thought like this, and that was all you've got to do. And sometimes you just need to go, well, I felt differently than you, but that doesn't mean you can't talk to me about it. Just because I don't understand doesn't mean I can't listen. Because as you've said, and we've said in podcasts previously, sometimes you don't want somebody to tell you how to feel or tell you how to think. Sometimes you just need to be able to process it by talking about it and getting it off your chest, don't you? Sometimes that's the biggest form of healing, isn't it? It's just get it out there, and you come to your own conclusions. And sometimes, I mean, like, I'm a massive talker, as everybody knows, and I think I drive my husband insane sometimes because I'll go over and over something until it's out my head. Some people take it like he takes everything internally and he deals with it internally, and that drives me insane because I have to drag stuff out of him and he's not willing to give it up. And I'm the other way around. I'm a bit, conversation. But it is, and I think like over coronavirus, I've got a lovely group of friends that are girls. Some of them have moved away emotionally and energetically over coronavirus because we've not been seeing each other. Others we seem to be much closer. And even though we're not getting together as a group anymore and kind of meeting together and having coffee and stuff like that, we've still got that support mechanism of, isn't Facebook wonderful? Isn't like Messenger wonderful? We can ring each other, we can meet up individually or a couple of us together. And I think, as we've said with all mental health, during sort of coronavirus, where we've not physically seen each other, people can feel very isolated. And you can feel isolated anyway with menopause, can't you, no matter what stage you're at.
I think it's just reach out, and if you've got somebody, you probably, as you say, you can't see them face to face physically, but you can on so much different ways of social media and interacting now. It's just reach out and just chat.
And there's so many groups out there now. You know what I was going to say is, if you reach out to one friend and they don't really want to know, or they don't know what to say back to you, or whatever, don't stop at that one and go, well, that person didn't want to hear, or that person wasn't listening, or I didn't really get my needs met from that person. Try somebody else, try several people, try the support groups and things, try people that you don't know, because it's not wallowing, it's trying to find your answers. And by talking to other people and realizing that we all have different experiences at different times, that it's okay and that you are normal. I think that's whatever normal is.
That's it. It's your normal, isn't it? And that's the thing. And don't be put off, and just keep going until you find something that you feel that's going to benefit you. It might be not to what your best friend does, but it's what you do and what makes you feel happy.
And I think the last thing is, really, if you need medication, that you went on HRT and you just did enough, you went on it, you've never really looked back. I'm kind of in that process of still trying to find the holistic, natural point of view through, but I'm certainly not closed to going down the HRT route. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's keeping your options open and not feeling that if you have to have some form of medication that you've failed.
That's it.
Really, whether you're a man or a woman, there's this big social stigma about, oh, well, if you've got to resort to counselling, or, well, if you've got to take a pill for that, then, weak. And it's not that at all. It's whatever works for you and whatever gives you the best experience out of your life. And if taking a pill or rubbing a gel on or having an injection is what makes you feel human and makes you feel well and allows you to continue with your life, then surely that's got to be a better option than struggling through if that's not working for you.
And just just go and chat to the doctor and explain your feelings and how you're feeling. And there's loads of different alternatives. There's not just everybody just have one tablet and that's it. They will, get the best thing for you and what you need. And And if you're not happy with what you go on, go back and speak to them.
Yeah. That's it. And of course, a lot of the medications now are made by like yams or mushrooms and stuff, aren't they? They're not all synthetic. I know I had an allergic reaction once to a pill. It was a synthetic pill, and my lips swelled up. I looked like Pamela Anderson for a few days, and it made me quite poorly. And actually, when it comes to whether you're a man or a woman, if you need this support, like you say, there's so many different drugs and options and, ways forward, even things like acupuncture. Yeah. If you don't want to go down the medical route, acupuncture, reflexology, meditation, massage, counseling's massive, isn't it? Yeah. All these sorts of things, as well as the creams and the tablets and whatever patches. There's all sorts of stuff on.
I always remember my mum used to be on patches. I mean, I'm going back quite a few years, and it used to be a standing joke who was wearing it in the morning because it used to come off and go onto my father.
It's just an option.
It used to make me giggle.
Oh, that's bad. But I think it's nice that mothers and daughters can talk about these things now. Friends can talk about these things, and there's a lot more. It's so welcoming when you see things on the telly. I remember my sister getting so excited and going, "Have you seen Davina McCall's done a program on it? You need to watch it." I was like, "Oh my God, no, I didn't know." And she went round lots of different people who were trying lots of different treatments, and it was like a real eye opener. And you think there's not so much of a stigma there anymore.
No,
which is
it's just be open about it and look and find the best thing for you. And I think that's the main thing. It's just everybody's different, so discuss things with everybody and anybody to find what's going to suit you best.
Yeah, trial and error, isn't it? It's all trial and error. Yeah, absolutely. Do whatever you need to do to get through for your mental, emotional, and physical health. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
Oh, wow,
brilliant! I think we've talked about that, and I think hopefully it's helped some people.
We've had people popping on and off, and it doesn't help that we've only managed to stream to one channel today, but we will try and find channel, won't we?
Yeah, we'll definitely look into this for the next. It'll just go out on a podcast later on this week. But we'll send the link as well for this one. But it might have. I'll see if I can shorten it because we're gonna have a lot of rubbish at the beginning.
It's about 15 minutes of us swearing at the beginning, trying to get on. But for anybody who's just caught us at the end, who would like to catch up on this, or anybody who sort of sees this afterwards and says, "I wish I'd watched it," Maxine does put this onto a podcast so you can listen back. I love going for a walk and listening to podcasts. It's fab. And we will sort of post the links later on, won't we, so that people can watch this back. And as always, reach out to either one of us if you want to chat, or use it as a springboard to chat to other people around you as well. It's sometimes good to take a few notes from things like this, isn't it, so you can get it started with friends or family and have a chat.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for everybody that's watched and listened this week, and we will see you hopefully next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to see you all, and always lovely to see you, Maxine. We shall see you next week. Put a comment saying I'll listen later. So we do have people on there. On one channel.
See you next week.
All right. Take care. Bye.